Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday Morning Show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And happy Sunday morning, everybody. It's been a great weekend so far. You know, when you're a coach like I am, of two teams, because I'm absolutely a masochist. I coach my son's rec baseball team, also coach his flag football team. And in the same day, within 2 hours, my son hits a home run to erase a 4-0 deficit, ties the game at 4. Eventually, our Green Machine wins 5-4 in Wyckoff, New Jersey. And then 2 hours later, scores a touchdown on a 15-yard throw, 2 feet down, toe tap back of the end zone. Home run and a touchdown. And then my daughter had one of the most gorgeous assists you could ever see in soccer. Later that night, around 8 p.m. in Plainfield, New Jersey. So let's just say that there are no weekends in my universe. And tonight I'll be co-hosting the big weekend show on Fox News, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So the fun continues, and this radio show as well. But you know what, though? Always give a busy person work, and it is a labor of love. Somebody that I think I'm going to break up with now. I used to be on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox, probably more than almost anybody. I think it was like a close competition for a while between myself and Glenn Greenwald, but I was booked weekly on that show and always had some fun conversations with Tucker. I didn't really know him too well because we were usually in different places. He'd either be in Washington or Florida or Maine. I would be in New York or from my home studio. So while we were on screen together, we weren't in the same studio. So I never really got to talk to him on any private level, but always enjoyed going on his show. And it was, you know, number one at the time. And that's always great for, you know, exposure and all that fun stuff. But the Tucker Carlson I'm seeing now, I don't recognize. I honestly don't know what happened to this person, just like I don't know what happened to Candace Owens. But they're kind of in the same boat as far as questioning who killed Charlie Kirk, where the evidence is overwhelming that it was a young man named Tyler Robinson who had big issues with Charlie's very common sense perspective on trans people as far as playing in sports. And Charlie was killed as a result of having an opinion that differed from somebody else's, when the irony is that Charlie would debate anybody, probably including the man who killed him. So instead of debating Charlie, this person, Tyler Robinson, executed him at Utah Valley University on September 10th of last year. The reason why I bring up Tucker is because he did a long interview with the New York Times that's on video. And more, Tucker is denying saying things that he absolutely said. And this is one big example of that, where I'll just play this. And again, it's just sad to listen to, because if you say something and maybe in retrospect it was the wrong thing to say, you know, I do 6 shows a week in terms of radio. I'm on Fox multiple times per week, probably more than 1,000 times per year, and I'm not exaggerating. You're going to say something once in a while that may be wrong. So just own it. Say, yep, I was wrong about that, and just move on, right? People will forgive you. Tucker's paid to give opinions. I'm paid to give opinions, give our perspective, our worldview. And once in a while, in retrospect, that may have been the wrong thing to say. So just own it. No one cares. No one's perfect, certainly. But here's what I mean. This is cut number 9, and this is, again, sad to listen to. Go.
What I was saying, which is you cannot mock other people's gods and put yourself in their place, period. That is a deal killer for me. That's worse than the war with Iran, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I ask because, you know, you've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that.
On your show, the day after Easter, you noted he did not put his hand on the Bible during his swearing-in ceremony as president. you said, and I'm quoting, maybe he didn't put his hand on the Bible because he affirmatively rejects what's inside that book. And then on a recent show, you went further saying, here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist?
I actually did not say, could this be the Antichrist? Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? Well,
whoops.
Who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips because I'm not sure I fully understand what the Antichrist is. If there's just one, I actually tried to understand it. I may have said some are asking that. I'm not weighing in on that because I don't understand it. And just to be totally
clear.
Revelations,
obviously, the.
Can you believe that? He literally says, I did not say that. This New York Times interviewer, which if you watch the interview, I thought it was very fair. She literally, this is what Tim Russert used to do on Meet the Press on NBC. He literally would play back a clip to a politician and point out the hypocrisy without being condescending or pious about it, saying, you said this once, now you're saying this. What changed? And this New York Times interviewer says, you called Trump the Antichrist. And then Tucker says, I never said that. Then literally plays back the clip to him and says, those words did not leave my lips. And then goes on to say that, well, he doesn't really know what the Antichrist is. Just say, oh, I don't remember saying that. I'm on the air hours per day, every day, tens of hours per week. If I said it, I don't remember it. And if I did say it, I own it. And then just try to explain what you thought you meant at the time. But don't insult us by saying that you never said something that you said. And even after it's played to you, you still deny it. So I don't know what happened to this person. You know, ever since Fox, it seems that these people that go on, and I'm not just talking about Tucker, everybody who used to be in broadcasting, legacy broadcasting, we'll call it, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, when they leave their respective positions where they had producers, where they had guardrails, where they had people that would say, maybe we don't go down that road. Or maybe we don't have evidence of this. Now it's the Wild West. Now you can say whatever the hell you want. And you say, well, that's a good thing. Maybe. But maybe it's good also to have somebody there who looks at it from another perspective and says, this may not reflect well on you. Or this is a lie. Just be outright in terms of your producing abilities and say, we can't go to air with this. But now that there's no guardrails, then you have the Don Lemons and Jim Acostas and Chuck Todds and Terry Morans, Joy Reid, Katie Couric of the world, people that made seven figures, good money, who deemed themselves anyway to be respected journalists. And now you see exactly what road they're going down. Tucker, not really a journalist, he's an opinion guy like me. But at some point, you can't deny saying things that you said. And this New York Times interview has been an absolute disaster for him because if you go online, go on X, he is being killed for it, even by people that were his biggest fans. And that includes the guy you're listening to right now. Here's more Tucker during that interview, and now apparently believes that Trump could put people into spells like witchcraft or something. Cut number 10, go.
Instead, there were a lot of cowardly people, as there always are, and Trump engenders cowardice in the people around him through intimidation. And there is a kind of quality that he has that's spellbinding, and I think it probably literally is a spell. And the effect is to weaken people around him and make them more compliant and more confused. And I've experienced this myself. You spend a day with Trump and sort of like you're in this kind of dreamland. It's like smoking hash or something. It's interesting. Very interesting. And there may be a supernatural component to it. I'm not a theologian, but it's real. And anyone who's been around can tell you it's real.
There's a supernatural component to it. I take issue with the fact that he intimidates people into just, and we're talking about Trump, into just doing whatever he wants. I get the feeling, given J.D. Vance's story, and I get the feeling, given Marco Rubio, who seems to be, this guy is as serious as a heart attack. I have a column up today for the Washington Examiner saying that Marco's momentum is impossible to ignore. I'm not saying Marco Rubio is going to run against J.D. Vance. That's not how that's going to work. They'll work it out privately, but either it's J.D. Vance and Marco as the vice president, or J.D. Vance doesn't run to be with his family. Usha's pregnant, fourth child, has many young kids right now, 3 others. Maybe he wants to be there for their childhood. And then, well, in 10 years, 15 years, he could still run for president and only be in his mid-50s. Not a bad runway. So I could see JD maybe not running, Marco running, and Marco winning big because he has a crossover appeal that no Democrat can match, especially this crop that is running, the Gavin Newsoms, AOCs, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris. He would absolutely smoke all of them. Marco would. JD, I'm not so sure about that. There's something about him where all the anti-Trumpers come out, where Marco, I think that would be muted for the most part. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm naive. But the point is that I don't see Marco Rubio being intimidated into an opinion by Trump. I don't see Tom Homan, certainly, altering his worldview as a result of what Trump tells him, or Scott Bessent, or Pete Hegseth, for that matter. I could go down the line. But, again, Tucker is way off on this one. Let's continue before we go to break. Now, here's Tucker accusing the aforementioned Marco Rubio of treachery against J.D. Vance. Again, these hyperbole, I guess, is like a big deal in the podcasting world, in the Tucker world. It gets you clicks. You know, you're Candace Owens. You say the most provocative things, and I guess that attracts a certain kind of audience. But treachery? Really? Cut number 11, go.
JD has been subject to, this is well known, but I'll just confirm it, nonstop treachery from people on the neoconservative side.
Who are these people?
Around Marco Rubio. And they have been totally against JD Vance from the very beginning.
Who do you mean specifically?
You know, I don't know is the real answer. I don't know.
You're accusing people of treachery, so I'm wondering.
Well, I know there's been a lot of treachery for sure, and I know they were so mad about JD getting that job. I mean,
who's they? Within the White House?
I don't know the answer to that. I've never worked there. So like, if you don't work there, you can say, you can say what you think you know, but it's hard to really know.
This is me looking skeptical.
Yeah. Well, no, it's me being honest. Like, I don't really know.
So you accuse Marco Rubio of treachery, and then you say they, but you don't know who they is. Again, this is like grassy knoll, JFK kind of flat earth society kind of stuff being thrown out there. And I'm so glad I don't praise the New York Times very often, but that is a fair interview. Who is they? Name them. Oh, I don't work in the White House. Then why are you saying it? Then why are you making the accusation when you don't have a person behind it? Outside of Marco Rubio, I guess, which you obviously don't know anything. You're talking out of your you-know-what. All right, actually, one more before we go to break. Sorry, guys. This is cut number 16. Again, this is Tucker saying something and then saying he didn't say it until, well, there's video and audio of him saying it. Again, I'll just put it right out there. This is a stone-cold liar. And he has all these followers, I guess, but let's expose this for what it is. He says that he doesn't say things until the proof comes out and then still denies saying it. This is cut number 16. Go.
Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly, which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization.
Raised some eyebrows this week when you said that Hamas is more like a political organization than a terror group. That was on the new episode of your show when you were talking.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. Well, there's the proof. I just don't get it. Just own it. Fine. Say Hamas, was, I guess, elected to power in 2005 in Gaza. And that would make them a political organization, except, they carried out the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, killing more than 1,200 people, including babies, women, raping men, women, children, kidnapping people, holding them for more than 2 years. Yeah, it's a terror organization. But if you want to say they're a political organization, again, Tucker, just own it. Instead of denying, saying things that clearly, pain is temporary, the internet is forever, and that is where the proof is. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Spirit Airlines is no more, and the reason for that is because Liz Warren, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, who really wants to be president, made sure that a merger with JetBlue was shot down during the Autopen administration. They celebrated it. They saw it as a victory. Well, that would have saved the airline probably, because they were losing money, the business model, in a world where, airlines and restaurants talk about the smallest margin of error in terms of profit margin. And Spirit was losing that battle. JetBlue, which is profitable, would have been able to bail them out, same kind of business model. And instead, Pocahontas and Biden and Buttigieg made sure that didn't happen. Here is Sean Duffy, however, my former colleague and friend at Fox. He is now the transportation secretary. He is saying that, this is going as well as it could as far as an airline collapsing. All these people have tickets. They have plans. Other airlines are stepping up. This has been handled wonderfully by the Trump administration and by Duffy in particular. Here he is in cut number 18. Go.
Spirit tried to merge with JetBlue. The Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg administration and DOJ tanked that deal. Immediately after that, they filed for bankruptcy. They were having financial problems. Martha, they filed for bankruptcy again last year. They were bleeding money. And so this was in the works for some time. They were going to have to liquidate. And so, again, I'm proud of the American airlines that have stepped up to take care of the passengers of Spirit, making sure they can get home. The employees of Spirit have special access to apply for jobs with other American airlines. So, again, I've stepped in, worked with the CEOs, and, again, this could have been chaotic. And under this administration, President Trump's leadership, there isn't chaos. There is actually a unified American approach to helping passengers and employees of Spirit navigate this crisis.
I texted Rachel Campos Duffy not too long ago. I've been traveling a lot more lately for speeches around the country, including one in Springfield, Illinois this week, which I didn't realize. Outside Chicago, Illinois is Nebraska. It's Kansas. It's all farmland. Who knew? Anyway, the point is that I texted Rachel and I said, I've had 10 straight flights where my flight leaves almost early, definitely on time, and then lands at least 20 to 30 minutes early every time. Our transportation system is far better under Sean Duffy, so good job him. John Sununu also, who's no fan of Trump, went on with Maria Bartiromo today and praised Trump as well for the way that this is being handled, and went off on Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, which I'm telling you, Buttigieg will not be the nominee. For starters, black voters hate him. He's not going to do well in South Carolina. That's the first primary. And just in general, he seems like he's AI generated, and people like authenticity. And Pete ain't that guy, nor is Gavin Newsom. We'll talk more about that when we come back, and so much more. This is the Tunnel Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
All right. Happy post-May Day, which, again, liberals, I guess they're embracing communism, because May Day was absolutely celebrated in, the Soviet Union, North Korea. And then we had May Day, these protests around the country, which I was on Fox yesterday talking about this, are funded by largely either George Soros or Chinese billionaires to push socialism and communism in this country as much as possible. I know I don't sound like Joe Concha anymore, but Joe McCarthy. But still, it's happening. It's absolutely happening. Look at two major NFL cities, New York and Seattle. Zohran Mamdani, Katie Wilson, both proud and loud socialists running those cities, and now quickly running into this big problem of, we're running out of other people's money. We need bailouts from our state governments, and they ain't happening. So Starbucks basically saying goodbye to Seattle. It's home since the early 90s. And obviously Zohran Mamdani running into some big problems here in New York, where the Ken Griffins of the world, who owns a company called Citadel, is going to build a $6 billion facility in New York, thousands of new jobs, good paying jobs, a lot of tax revenue. And now Griffin, because he was doxxed by Mamdani in a video bragging about, I'm going to tax the hell out of Ken Griffin and other billionaires here. Well, he's like, all right, I'll do what I did in Chicago. I'll move the hell out. That's what he did with Citadel. They're now comfortable in the wonderful city of Miami, which has low crime and no state income taxes. So if I'm Ken Griffin, instead of New York, Nashville looks pretty good. Tennessee, no state income taxes. Maybe, San Antone, Texas, no state income taxes. Better weather. And a mayor who isn't hostile towards me. Why not? Let's get the hell out. Anyway, these anti-Trump May Day protesters, because Ken Griffin donates hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money to St. Jude's Hospital in Chicago. What's St. Jude's? Well, they're my number one charity as far as where I donate. It's Tunnel to the Towers, of course, and St. Jude's. St. Jude's treats children with cancer. Talk about a cruel joke. To be born with or be young, you just want to be a kid. I got 2 young kids. And to have cancer and do that battle, that's just the saddest thing you could possibly imagine. And St. Jude's does such wonderful work. And Ken Griffin knows this. So when he donates, I think it was $400 million last year to St. Jude's, that can make a real, real difference. Well, the anti-Trump May Day protesters went outside the hospital where kids are being treated for cancer and are yelling shame at the hospital for taking Ken Griffin's money. I swear to God, we live in 2 different countries right now. There is the sane and the insane, and this is insane in the membrane. This is cut number 2. Go. Shame. Shame? Oh. All right, enough. I can't believe these people live like as citizens in this country. Shame. And I'm sorry, Ken Griffin donates to St. Jude's and to Sloan Kettering. This was outside of Sloan Kettering, where my mom, who had cancer, and my dad, who had cancer, were treated. These people are angels on earth, the work they do. And you're yelling shame at them for taking Ken Griffin's money to make people maybe survive the number one killer in this country, especially children. And these people are out there yelling shame. And this is what Democrats support. Find me one Democrat, one, that condemns this. Nope, they can't. These are their voters now. Whole bowl of wrong. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom may very well be the nominee for the Democratic Party in 2028. I say no. I think in the end, there is something, even to Democrats, that is so slimy about Newsom. And his record is his record. It can't run from that. And I just think an authentic person will ultimately get the nomination. The problem is I don't know who that is on the Democratic side. I guess maybe like a Rahm Emanuel type, right? He was the brain behind Obama, I guess. He and Axelrod, and then Emanuel ran for and won the mayor's race in Chicago and left there with an 18% approval rating. I just don't know. I don't know who they, unless it's somebody we're not thinking of, like a Jamie Dimon, somebody threw at me, JP Morgan CEO, I guess. I'm not sure he's much of a Democrat. He'll be rejected the same way Bloomberg was. So I think that's done. or like an actor, like kind of comes out of nowhere, like a Jon Stewart ends up running. If Jon Stewart ran, I say he wins. The guy can make an argument. You say, oh, come on, Joe, he's the Daily Show guy. Well, Trump was the Apprentice guy. I understand he ran, a very successful real estate business, but in the end, we kind of elect people that could put on the best argument. And Stewart's excellent at it and has been very good to veterans. So Jon Stewart ran. And I'm not saying he is a great person or a great candidate. I'm just saying that I don't think the I don't think the bar is all that high. Absolutely, Jon Stewart could win. Stephen A. Smith is a Republican posing as a Democrat, so I don't see that happening. Anyway, I'm getting in the weeds here. Here is Bill Maher to Gavin Newsom talking about that train that he has been trying to build for many, many years, high-speed train in California, Utopia, that they can't lay down any track. Everything is completely and totally sideways on this thing, which ain't good for train tracks. They tend to go straight. And even, Maher is saying, you got to let this thing go because it is a boondoggle that will be used in every campaign ad. Your failure to build this thing. I mean, it's not even close. And Newsom, his reflex is just to lie and to think that everybody is stupid enough to believe the lie. This is cut number 3. Go.
The other side, what they're going to say, though, is, but have you seen the stats from California?
Good.
What? Well,
fourth largest economy. Let's go.
Well, are they going to say good about gas prices? Are they going to say good about how high the rents are?
Yeah.
So many people live. I mean, there's a whole litany. I mean, the train, Gavin. Okay, the train. You got to get rid of the train.
The train.
I say this as a friend. You got to let that train go. Let the train go. It's up to $231 billion.
No, it's not. That's just nonsense. It's not. We're doing a $119 million segment. We got it back on track. It goes back 3 administrations. I inherited a mess. We put it back on track. All the environmental work is behind us. We're actually laying the track. All the legal litigation, all the land issues are all behind us. We're actually making this project work.
He's lying. All right. Let me give you the stats on this. Maher is right. The high-speed rail in California will cost $231 billion with a B dollars to build. The original cost, as far as what was budgeted for, what the projections were, was $33 billion. So we are talking now $200 billion higher in cost. It was supposed to be completed years ago. He's saying we're laying down track. It's going to get done. I swear I will, my entire kids' college education, I will swear on my dogs, my fish, everybody that lives in this house, it's anarchy, that this train will never, ever, ever be built. And if you are any Republican running against Gavin Newsom, you put this at the front of every ad because it is Newsom in a nutshell. All talk, no action, all sizzle, no steak, all salt, no tequila. What's the other analogy I could think of here? Let's see. All foam and no beer. Yes, that was from the college days. But yeah, that's the Newsom brand. He's not going to be the nominee, I'm telling you. I don't think Democrat voters, they want somebody radical. Hassan Piker, I could see him being the Democratic nominee. And boy, here he is at a rally for Cori Bush. Remember her? Missouri squad member. She's running for Congress again. And now Piker has been called upon by so many Democrats to appear at these rallies and yell stuff into megaphones, like Baghdad Bob used to back in the day. Here's cut number 4. Piker, pro Bush, not George, but Cori. Let's hear that cut go.
For far too long, we've been told you have to vote for harm reduction. We all know the Republicans are corrupt. We all know that they're monsters. They're racist. They traffic in hatred. But we are here to say we are no longer going to vote for do-nothing Democrats either. We're voting for Democrats with a purpose.
I.e. socialists. Yes. What's my takeaway from that cut? Republicans traffic in hatred. But Hassan Piker would never do that, except here in cut 5, literally saying, kill all the capitalists, Republicans, called on, the assassination of Rick Scott and President Trump, which we'll play in a moment. But here's cut number 5. Go.
Poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street.
Murder.
Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
Republicans traffic in hatred is what Hassan Piker said yesterday at a Cori Bush rally. Did you hear that? That sounds like hatred to me. Hatred. He's literally calling for the assassination of anybody who's a capitalist, which is basically, the country outside of the radicals that support Hassan Piker. And here is Piker, as promised, advocating for President Trump's assassination. Again, the New York Times gave this guy a platform. The Pod Save America Obama bros give him a platform on a regular basis. And Democrats from Ro Khanna to AOC, Memdani, Cori Bush go on his podcast because I guess he could get more votes from the anti-Semitic wing of the party. But here it is. Cut number 1.
And you actually wrote about this, and it was a great video where you talked about, someone has to do it. See, when I say that, everyone knows exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Which
Kill
is,
Trump.
I think that shows that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and untapped potential, untapped revolutionary potential, as a matter of fact. And it's a great opportunity for organizing, I think, in these
revolutionary tactics, i.e. take out a sitting president, end a movement, the MAGA movement. This guy says this. And again, in a normal society, he would be shunned, he would be ridiculed and condemned by Republicans, Democrats alike. Instead, Democrats are saying, nope, this is our new mascot. This is our new it girl. Congratulations on that. Meanwhile, speaking of Democrats, Benny Thompson, Democrat, ran the J6 committee, you may remember, is now saying that, you know what? There's another shutdown because these government shutdowns, we hear they end. No, not really. They just get pushed out. So there'll be another fight like this in September, right before the elections. And as sure as you were born, Democrats will shut down the government to show they're fighting Trump or something and don't have any regard for anybody who is hurt in the process. All these employees, DHS, Secret Service, that don't get paid. He's saying it's going to happen again. And then he says, well, we all need to sacrifice, except for Congress, which still takes a paycheck during these government shutdowns. That Benny Thompson is absolutely against. Oh, no. We still have to get paid. Everybody else doesn't have to get paid. So we could win a midterm election. It's such a joke. It's disgusting. Cut number 8, go.
Congressman, let me just get clarity, and I'm going to let you finish your answer here. When you say absolutely, that suggests that there could be another shutdown and there could be another lapse in pay for those TSA workers, the Coast Guard, if Republicans Democrats withhold those votes at the end of September.
Absolutely. Yeah, Victor, look, we have to stand for democracy. Democracy says that in America, we have to know who's knocking at our door if they want to come in. That's just a foundational premise. And so if we have to fight for it, there has to be sacrifice.
Sacrifice, except from Benny. He'll still get his paycheck, while all these government workers who depend on them, who live paycheck to paycheck, will not get them. I don't see this blue wave coming. I think more and more people are very, very sickened by what Democrats are doing. It's not about saving democracy. It is all about power. Democrats gaining it and then blowing up the filibuster, expanding the Supreme Court, abolishing the Electoral College, and then adding 4 senators through states like D.C. and Puerto Rico. That's all this is about. And the worst part is, the most pious part is, that they say it's all in the name of saving democracy while they destroy it. This is Joe Concha. This is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. It's the Joe Concha Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show. Now, here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, I mean, I just don't get the logic around Democrats these days that oppose, say, the Laken Riley Act. Laken Riley, nursing student, going for a morning jog at the University of Georgia, Athens, Georgia, and is attacked by somebody who is in the country illegally from Venezuela and fought for a good 20, 25 minutes for her life before she was bludgeoned, sexually assaulted, and then eventually killed. I don't see how you oppose any act in her name. Republican, Democrat, does not matter. Do you support protecting American citizens first, President Trump said, at the State of the Union, or illegal aliens? And not one Democrat would stand when Trump said stand if you support American citizens over those who are in the country illegally. Because again, eventually, the blue team counts on these people to be their voters. Anyway, here's cut number 14. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who wants to be governor now that goofy 80s sitcom dad Tim Walz is not running, she is very, very much against the Laken Riley Act because, of course, she is. Minnesota is as blue or more blue than California meets Oregon at this point. Cut 14, go.
The very first vote in the second Trump administration that he brought forward was for the Laken Riley Act. It was one of his biggest priorities. It stripped due process away from immigrants, allowed for the indefinite detention of adults and children, and was the green light to give ICE unprecedented power to totally terrorize our communities.
Now you heard that, right?
And I want to be clear.
All right, we're good.
That
we're
there
good.
is a straight...
It stripped immigrants of their rights. Immigrants, really? So the maniac, the monster that killed Laken Riley was just a legal immigrant? Went through Ellis Island? Went through the whole process? Or did he come into the country illegally and murder this poor girl? The answer is B, door number 2. And you have, again, this is what Democrats do over and over again. They conflate legal immigration, which we're all for, with illegal immigration. If you're against the Laken Riley Act, then you're as big a monster as the person that killed Laken Riley herself. Meanwhile, here's Sunny Hostin before we go, talking about how Donald Trump will never be as beloved as Barack Obama. And then I'll have the punchline on the other side of this. This is cut number 1. Go.
President Obama lives rent-free in this president's head, and because he knows he will never be as talented, he will never be as beloved, he will never be as smart, he will never be as accomplished, he will never win the Nobel Peace Prize on his own merit. And so, of course, he tore it up, and now he doesn't have plans or concepts of a plan. But the thing that was concerning for me when I watch this as a layperson, because I don't have the experience.
We'll get out here. Yeah, will never be as beloved as Barack Obama. You know why we have Donald Trump right now as president? Because of Barack Obama. He was in office for 8 years. And then, despite the fact that Donald Trump has never run for president or any public office in his life, was able to beat Hillary Clinton with all the built-in advantages. A 3-to-1 financial advantage, for example. A hostile media towards Trump. Totally pro-Hillary. And Donald Trump still won that election. You know why? Because people wanted change from Barack Obama and his administration, where his one legacy is Obamacare, where we now see health premiums and health insurance doubling, tripling what it was pre-Obamacare, because the government does not run things well. So Sunny Hostin talking about how, oh yeah, Donald Trump really wishes that he was as beloved as Barack Obama. All I know is that Obama keeps endorsing candidates and they keep losing, including Kamala Harris. So, no, I'm pretty sure Trump got the best of Obama. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.